We're talking Broncos here in the sports office alongside sports anchor Romy Bean. I'm Michael Spencer. Glad to have you with us. Romy, mandatory minicamp this week before the break, and then, of course, training camp coming up here in about 6 weeks. Big news for the Broncos. JK Dobbins, former Chargers running back, signed. We knew that they were whining and dining him. Now it's official that he is a Denver Bronco. What do you make of the move?
Yeah, news broke last week. Oh, they're hosting him. You thought, okay, and then we didn't hear anything. And then today, Sean Payton wouldn't confirm. He said, I'll tell you guys tomorrow. But then everybody started confirming, no, they have signed him. This is a great deal. It's worth up to $5.25, but it's really just $2.75 million before incentives. To get a guy like this, a veteran presence, that's a really big deal for me in a very young running backs room. We've seen RJ Harvey taking a lot of reps with the ones. He is clearly going to be a big staple in this offense, but he's a rookie. So bringing in this veteran presence to, and somehow, however Sean Payton splits this up, have this kind of two-back set going forward could be huge. And health. We always talk about health. Running back position. JK Dobbins is a guy who missed 4 games last year with injury. He's had a lot of injuries in his career. It could help both of them stay healthy down the stretch. You're expected to get to the playoffs now. You need everybody to stay healthy. So I think this is huge for the dynamic of the room. One big thing people are saying, what does this mean for Jaleel McLaughlin? I don't really think this affects Jaleel McLaughlin. He's kind of carving out a little bit of a different role for himself. I see this as kind of, you look at that, really relying on two backs, JK Dobbins, RJ Harvey. And this is going to be great for RJ Harvey to learn from him in his rookie year and also not to have to bear such a big load going in. What does it mean for Audric Estime? That's the interesting one because you thought maybe he was going to elevate. We'll see how Sean divvies everything up.
And, of course, you might see some of that kind of play out as we get into training camp, as I mentioned, about 6 weeks away. You know, the other thing, Romy, that stood out to me about all the moves that the Broncos have made this offseason, it's clear that they want to get as much talent and as many weapons around Bo Nix heading into year number 2.
You know what's interesting? I'm looking around. We're looking, what are the big storylines going into camp? And you're like, man, there's so much continuity. It's been a long time. You look at the offensive and defensive lines. You even look at the secondary. There is some new additions, but most of it is just plug and play, right? You bring in Hufanga. You obviously draft Jahdae Barron, right? But outside of that, look at that defense. It's pretty much similar to what was last year. Same as the offense, the offensive line. There's going to be a lot of competition in the wide receiver room. But you look at Evan Engram. That's a huge addition. And I think almost more of that wide receiver tight end, you're seeing he can be such a dynamic playmaker. Sean Payton continues to allude at how big of a leader he is. Yeah. This is still a young team, a very mature team, but a young team. And so it's great to see the Broncos are in a place where you're like, let's bring in some additions like a J.K. Dobbins, like an Evan Engram, because we have the foundation. We're not trying to build the foundation anymore. Now we're plugging in these pieces that can truly allow them to contend.
Break it down for me. What are we looking at over the next week or so, next couple of days, and then heading into the offseason? What does that schedule look like for this team?
Yeah, you're always, of course, schedule-wise, you got tomorrow and then Wednesday, and then Thursday is always the wild card day.
Right.
Sometimes they canceled it, and it's a field day. You never know. It is a shorter practice as it is on the schedule now anyway. So you kind of want to see how are the rookies looking by the end of this. What's Sean Payton's message for everyone as they head out to camp? We'll find that later in the week. You obviously won't say that just yet. But just kind of looking at how far along everyone's coming. And then you look at Bo Nix. And this guy, year 2, remember this time last year, he's learning everything, right? And there's 3 of them competing this is his team. And you can see how the team has responded around it. The way he's going against a very dynamic defense. Yes, it's early. Yes, we're going against air. Doesn't matter. Bo Nix looks like he is truly leveling up in year 2, and of course it all starts with the quarterback.
And that is something Broncos country loves to hear heading into year 2 for Bo Nix. And of course we will have much more coverage on the Broncos mandatory minicamp, and then of course all offseason on CBSColorado.com and right here on CBS News Colorado as well.